everyone, welcome back to Homestead Corner. Today I want to talk about some pantry do's and don'ts. I think we have all made mistakes in our pantries. I know I have. I have made a lot of mistakes over the years. I thought it was the right thing to do, but it turned out it didn't work so great. And sometimes you don't really think about it and it just kind of happens. Pantries can definitely be really overwhelming. So I thought today I would go over just a couple of do's and don'ts for stocking in your pantry, just to help. Some of them will be reminders, some of them you may not thought of. Some, if you are new, it can definitely be overwhelming getting your food storage together and your pantry in order and having it functioning and working for your family. So the first thing on my do list is rotation. You definitely want to rotate your stock. Putting stuff away and never thinking about it again is going to cause some of your food to go bad. We want to make sure that we're spending all our hard-earned money and putting all kinds of effort and time into stocking these pantries. We want to make sure that we're rotating everything. Like your 25-year foods, that's one thing. Put it in, a space and let it sit there. That is okay because you've got 25 years to eat that. And also your stuff that you put in buckets, your long-term things that are gonna last 15, 20, 30 years, those are fine too. But your canned goods, your things that are, in the shorter term, your up to 5-year foods, you really want to keep those rotating. Take your new stuff, put it in the back all the time, and, move those old ones forward, stuff them in the back, and you can keep your food rotated, and you don't have to worry about it going bad. Even if you have a huge pantry, you can have lots and lots of food in there, and if you keep it rotated all the time, you're not really going to have to worry about it going bad. So rotation is a do, definitely. The next thing I think we must do is label the top of our cans, or somewhere on the front or the top, somewhere really easy to see. Either some people put the day they bought it on there, they'll put the month and the year they bought the item, or some people will put the expiration date on there, or the best by date, whatever's on the packaging, because sometimes that packaging lettering is so tiny, it's really hard to see, and a lot of times your pantry is not very well lit, so it's even more difficult to see those expiration dates or best by dates. So I just take a Sharpie and write it right on the top of the can, 2/24 or whatever it is, whatever the best by date is on it. And not that food is bad on that date. I don't think that. But that helps us keep that rotation moving and knowing that, okay, this can says 2/24. We want to make sure that gets out of the pantry before 2/24, or try to work it into the food. We will go through our pantry every now and then, and older stuff, we try to figure out where we're going to put that in meals, so we can make sure that it's constantly moving and we're using all the stuff in our pantries. The third thing I think we must do is use our food storage. We put all this time and effort into this, and it costs a lot of money to have a good supply of food, and it's worth it. I really think it's worth it. But we need to use that food. I think you need to cook out of your pantry. You should be doing it probably at least once a week. So using those pantry staples, pulling from there, even if it's making, Jell-O with a can of fruit or something like that, figuring out how you're going to use all this stuff that you've put up. You want to make sure you're cooking with it and it's easy to use and you know what to do with it. Collecting recipes is wonderful as well, so you can try different things with your foods, and I think that is really important, and we want to just make sure that we're using the stuff in our pantry. And the next thing I think is really important and we should be doing is keeping an inventory, some sort of inventory of what you have. So you know that you have so many cans of meat, You know, whether you want to go as far as to stretch it all out and say, I have this many canned chicken, this many Spam, this many, you know, ground beef, this many shredded beef, this many beef cubes. I mean, you can really expand it out and make sure you have the amount you want in each individual item, or you could do it category wise. I know a lot of people that do it, you know, I have this much vegetables and we keep this much fruit and this much sugar, this much beans. It doesn't have to be, we have 15 cans of red beans and 20 cans of black beans and 17 cans of, you know, refried beans. It can just be 60 cans of beans is an easy way to do it, but any way that works for you. If you want it really detailed, I say do that, but definitely keeping an inventory is really important. It helps you when you are going out to get more preps. You may notice, oh, I've only got 6 bottles of ketchup and I normally carry 12 bottles of ketchup. So I think that's something that can be really helpful for us, and we know about how far that food is going to go. And there are a few things that we don't want to be doing. We don't want to do these in our food pantries. Don't buy food that your family won't eat. If no one in your family likes beans and they're not going to eat beans, I mean, I wouldn't buy a ton of beans. I would buy some dried beans to put away for those extreme emergencies, but I would not keep bunches of cans of beans in the pantry that we're never going to eat. So having the foods that you are going to eat is really important, because it's going to be easier for everybody. It's going to be more comfortable, more natural for them if it's something that they normally eat. If they love carrots, stock carrots. If they hate peas, don't stock peas. It's just one of those things. In an emergency, it can be really difficult to have to eat a bunch of food that you just don't like. You know, whether you bought it because it was cheap or someone told you you should have it, I think it's really important to make sure that if your family doesn't eat it, don't buy it. It's just a waste of money. It will go bad eventually, most things. Not everything. Some things gonna last forever, like honey and stuff like that. But most of your foods are going to go bad eventually, or the can let go, and you can get rusty cans, holey cans, leaky cans. All that stuff can happen. So making sure that you like those foods is really important, and you're not wasting your money that way. And it's a lot easier to slip them into your meals and cook once a week with them when you already like those things. Don't forget condiments. Condiments are definitely something really important to your pantry. When we get down to eating those bare bones in the pantry, you've got all these extra dry goods. You've already blown through most of your favorite foods. So when you get down to those dry goods, you really want to be able to beef them up. Or if you're cooking rice every day in a week to try and stretch out your other meals, having some of those meals with different condiments and flavorings and things like that is going to be really important to help with food fatigue. And so you guys want to eat and not like, no more rice and beans. You really want to keep some condiments in there to help mix up flavors and things like that. And the next thing is, don't forget spices. Not only do they help with flavoring, spices have loads of medicinal properties. All these different spices have tons of different properties. If you just look them up, each individual one that you keep, because everybody keeps different things in their pantries. If you look up turmeric, you're going to see that it's really good for inflammation. So that is a wonderful thing to just a little bit in there. And it doesn't have a ton of flavor to it. It does make everything a beautiful color yellow. But it is wonderful for inflammation. So having stuff like that in the pantry, I think, is important. And those spices most of them really beef up the flavor. If you've got chili powders and onion powder and garlic powder, all those things are really going to help with flavoring, but they are giving you medicinal properties as well while you're eating them. So spices, don't forget those. We want them. And the next don't is don't throw away food because the expiration date has arrived. It is not bad. Um, the dates on the cans are either expiration date, best by date. They sell by dates, you'll see on different products. There are a bunch of different dates on these things. It does not mean that that day, after 2 years, it decided, oh, today I'm dead. You know, it's still good. Those things are still good. The company, when they put those best by dates on there, they got to put something on there so people know to keep it moving, so the stores know when to sell it by. A lot of the sell by dates is, you know, they want the store to get it out of there before then. It doesn't mean that's the expiration date. We want to make sure that we are using those foods up. Open them up. If your can is solid, it's not leaking or anything like that, everything looks good, open it. If it looks good, smell it. If it smells good, it's probably good and you can still eat it. I have eaten stuff a couple of years past the date, 3-4 years, but it was good. You could not tell if I bought it at the store yesterday or 4 years ago. So definitely open those up. Don't throw them away. It wastes money and all your efforts and time and stuff. If you find something that's a few years old, check it out. Make sure if it's bad, you know, if you're not sure, if it smells a little off or it looks funky, don't eat it. But if it looks okay and smells okay, I'd toss it in a pan and heat it up. Absolutely. The next one is don't keep cans that are bulging. Sometimes you'll get a can. I have heard from a few people that they have recently picked up cans that are flexible in the store. You should not be able to squeeze your cans. They should be solid because they are airtight. They're supposed to be. They should not be flexing in there. There shouldn't be any bulging or anything like that. If I get any dented canned goods, so I try to check them all, but once in a while I will be grabbing a case of something and one in the middle might be dented and I didn't notice it, but we just put that in the front. You know, we use that one first because it's still going to last okay, pretty good with a dented can, but it's, you know, it's not going to go bad overnight or anything as long as the seal isn't broken. But if you notice that any of your cans are bulging, they start to like puff out, or the top puffs up, or the bottom, you'll see some cans sitting sideways in the pantry. You want to get rid of those right away. Leaving those in the pantry, because they might be good, can cause a lot of damage to your other foods. It can leak, it can draw critters in, mice, rats, things like that. And even if you don't have anything like that, it can still happen. Those little buggers find a way into your house. When they think you have something, they're coming in and they'll chew their way right through the wall. They don't care. So making sure we don't keep those cans that don't look right. If, you know, they're bulgy or anything like that, leaky. If a can leaks, it can cause a whole host of problems in your pantry. You just want to make sure that you get that all cleaned up good before you start replacing anything, and check underneath because it leaks down through everything once it leaks. And my last don't is don't rely on modern appliances. We all have them and we all love them. I love an electric can opener and a pressure cooker and all that, but I think it is really important to make sure we have the necessary tools to cook without electricity. If the grid goes down, we need to be prepared to make all those foods with hand-powered appliances. So like little old hand mixers, we have those. We keep everything in the house, so when the power goes out, I can still make anything that I normally make, and I don't need those appliances. I love them and I use them all the time because it makes life so convenient and easy. But making sure that you don't have to rely on those is really important. Hand can openers, a lot of people forget to have those in the house, you know, or a little hand mixer, flour sifters. You could use a little fine mesh strainer for that anyway, but there are lots of alternatives. But making sure that you have the proper tools to do it is really important. So when the grid is down, you can still make everything for your family, and it will be not so horrible for everyone. And that is it for my do's and don'ts. I think that food storage can be really overwhelming, especially for new people, but it really doesn't have to be. Simplify it so it works for you. Switch things up, store everything, whatever way works for you, and make it as easy as it can be for you. And that way, the less complicated, the less overwhelming it's going to be for you. And hopefully some of these tips might help somebody. And to be prepared, when all we have is our pantries, we want to make sure that it's going to be fully functional for us, and we'll be able to feed our families and take care of everything we need to. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye.